R2P, Founders Team, Episode 5, The Road to Being Debt-Free. We're going to talk a big picture overview as it relates to the expenses and the relationship of the different phases of a location's journey as it relates to the P&L. So we've got 4 phases here. We've got our pre-open, we've got our open but losing money, we've got our open but profitable, we've got our open debt-free, which is obviously the goal. So pre-open, 3 different things I want you to think about. You are in a location that either is on a spectrum towards being turnkey build out, which would be the end of a spectrum. That is where the landlord provided us with a turnkey build out where they took on the cost, they handled everything for us, they delivered it to us with the key, but they amortized in the cost of the build out. Some of you are on the other end of the spectrum where we took on the entire build out. We were provided a small amount of what is called tenant improvements, and we are taking on a greater front end cost. So you're either going to have cost amortized in, you are going to have cost on the front end, or potentially you're in a location that's somewhere in the middle as it relates to that spectrum. All offices need equipment and supplies. These are relatively the same across locations. Some of it does depend on the size of the location and some of the efficiencies that we have to consider. If you have a smaller office, we might have to be in a situation where we're being more efficient with certain equipment purchases, and you might also just need less. Then we also have certain marketing costs of which we are planning that are one-time or recurring. These are costs that all offices are again taking on. You have one-time costs such as direct mailers and niche media with regards to various publications, mostly online. And then you have your recurring marketing costs, of which are the same across all of our locations, relating to things like digital advertisement, social media, website, SEO, and the cost for our marketing staff. Then we open, and we really have 2 major buckets that will be continuous throughout the course of your journey. We've got an OpEx bucket, and we've got a payroll bucket. A service-based company is very, very predictable with regards to these areas, and very, very simple with regards to how you're able to look at it. So you've got operating expenses, our big 4. We've got a loan, we've got facility costs, and just for your awareness, we are either at the rise in terms of inflation or slightly below with regards to the increases of the facility costs each year. Marketing, we are often doing this off a target of revenue. It is not directly related early on to the exact target of revenue, but understand that you are spending to get flow in the system. And we're in a situation where, especially some of those recurring marketing dollars, we are trying to put gas in and obviously get a certain amount of ROI, and we would rather run into a fulfillment issue where we can't convert and fulfill people to an initial evaluation within a certain period of time to force us to then go higher. But understand that the goal is not to market as little as possible early on or to market less as it relates to our revenue for the first year that you open. The goal is to actually market more, and then, as you'll see below, dial down your marketing spend. Then we have our day-to-day in terms of supplies, insurance, subscriptions, vendors, contractors, all of the things that you interact with on a daily basis to provide the service. That final bucket is our payroll bucket. You're thinking about the providers at your location, your non-providers, and then your administrative and corporate staff. We're going through the paces. We're doing build, lead, sell at your office. We've created abundance. We hire. We do it again. We hire. All of a sudden, we get to a point where your office is profitable. So we have reached cash flow positive. We are no longer losing money. The biggest thing that changes here is we start to dial down some of your marketing expenses, especially as it relates to some of the recurring expenses. So we currently have offices that are spending certain recurring marketing expenses, and then we have our offices that are in this category that are not utilizing those expenses because our marketing largely is focused on 3 different buckets. You have a net new bucket, you have a retention bucket or people that will return, and then you've got word of mouth and or your referrals that are more person to person. If we're in a situation where we've got enough net new and our buckets as it relates to returning people and word of mouth are greater, and we get to that 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, we don't need to put as much juice or flow in the system on the net new side. So we've done a good job of our top of funnel marketing strategies, awareness, attraction, engagement, conversion to put people in a retention and or advocacy bucket. That is why we're able to then dial down that marketing spend a little bit, putting ourselves in a situation where eventually we are debt free, the loan is paid off, and we've settled in most likely at a marketing spend that is below 3% of revenue, and putting you in a situation where if you look at these 2 categories, a rough target is going to be 65% of your revenue is allocated towards payroll or people-oriented costs, and 15% is OpEx. That gets us in the direction of that 20% margin. But hopefully giving you a little bit of an understanding of how we go through these 4 phases, a breakout of some of the costs, some of the things that we're thinking about as we go throughout the course of the journey, allows you to just have a better understanding of what's going on.